Did you know one earnings announcement this week could shake the entire global tech market? Welcome to episode 9 of Prime Weekly, your one-stop market wrap for the week and what it means for you as an investor. Now, let's start with the companies that made headlines this week. Narayana Health delivered another strong quarter with revenue up 15.4% year-on-year, operating margins expanding by 190 basis points to 24.5% and net profit rising 30% year-on-year, supported by both India performance and a sharp jump in Cayman revenues. Max Healthcare also posted solid results, with revenue rising 25% year-on-year, EBITDA margins improving to 26.9% and net profit jumping 74% year-on-year, led by strong oncology, cardiac and ortho contributions across facilities. Ahluwalia Contracts reported a robust print with revenue up 16.4%, EBITDA rising 75%, operating margins expanding from 7.3% to 10.9% and net profit doubling to Rs 78.6 crore, backed by an order book of over 18,000 crore rupees. Inox Wind delivered one of the strongest performances of the week with revenue up nearly 40%, EBITDA up to 42% and PAT rising to 85% year-on-year, driven by a significant jump in margins from 15.5% to 37.9%. Inox Green Energy Services followed suit with revenue up 56% year-on-year and PAT up 363%, supported by the completion of new wind O&M asset acquisitions, taking their operating portfolio to nearly 12.5 gigawatts. India Glycols posted a stable and margin-led performance with revenue rising 13.6% year-on-year, EBITDA margins expanding to 40 basis points and net profit up 31%, supported by improved unit economics. And speaking of strong setups, let's jump to this week's pick of the week, which is Mastek Limited. Trading around Rs 2,235 with a buy band of Rs 2,210 to 2,260, Mastek continues to strengthen its digital transformation presence across the UK public sector and US enterprises. Now, why does Mastek stand out? Because it is positioned as a direct beneficiary of the UK government's multi-year digital transformation spending, simultaneously expanding its US healthcare and cloud business. You can check out the full pick of the week report linked in the description for full valuation tables. Now, let's zoom out to the global stage. Nvidia earnings take center stage this week, with the company holding an 8% weight in the S&P 500 and nearly 10% in the Nasdaq 100, making its Wednesday results critical for the entire tech sector and the broader AI-driven market sentiment. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 recovered sharply from intraday lows before closing nearly flat, reflecting hesitation ahead of major earnings and macro triggers. Recent Federal Reserve commentary, combined with the possibility that key US economic data may not be released during the government shutdown, has weakened expectations of further rate cuts next month. Despite this caution, overall US corporate earnings have remained well above analysts' expectations, with the S&P 500 companies now projected to post an average earnings of 13.1% compared to the earlier forecast of roughly 8% heading to the earnings session. Back home, Indian equity markets ended last week on a positive note, supported by strong late buying in the PSU stocks despite volatility from global cues and sector-wide profit booking. Mid-caps and small-caps underperformed as market breadth remained negative, with profit-taking dominating and advances trailing declines throughout the week. Sentiment improved meaningfully after the NDA's decisive victory in the Bihar Assembly elections, which triggered renewed confidence and boosted late buying, especially in the PSU banks. Despite sustained foreign selling, domestic inflows and resilient macro data kept the rupee from slipping to record lows, and the Nifty partially filled the upward gap between 25,715 and 25,781 from November 12, reinforcing this zone as a strong support area. The US and Switzerland moved towards a new trade deal, that cuts US tariffs on Swiss imports to 15%, with Switzerland committing $200 billion of investment into the US by the year 2028. The US and China are progressing on a rare earth agreement, with both sides aiming for a final deal after the US paused steep tariffs and China delayed its export restrictions. Japan's economy contracted 1.8% year-on-year, but the decline was milder than expected, showing some underlying stability despite weak consumption. So, what's the key takeaway? Despite volatility, the broader setup remains constructive, as PSU buying, strong global earnings, stable macro signals, easing supply chain pressures, and a crucial Nvidia earnings week ahead all point towards continued momentum with selective caution. For investors, this is the time to be selective, focusing on companies with stronger order books, digital growth visibility, and clear long-term catalysts. You can check out the full Prime Weekly report in the description for sector breakdowns, valuations, charts, and deeper analysis. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button to stay ahead every week. Until next time, this is Prime Weekly, helping you make money matter.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.